Which matchup do you see having the most impact on the final playoff picture?
I think it's Wisconsin-Ohio State. I think if Wisconsin wins, they're in. I think if Ohio State wins, I think they're probably in. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think the winner of that game is probably going to get the 4th spot.
You think Ohio State, if they win, will get in ahead of Alabama?
I do think the committee's going to go that way. I don't agree with it, but you look at it right now, and they have Wisconsin ahead of Alabama. And if you tell me those two teams on a neutral site, every single one of us is going to pick Alabama. So right now, they're not judging who's the best team. They're saying that undefeated is more deserving to be the top 4. I don't agree with that, and so I think the winner of that game will probably get in. I think that's how they're going to decide it, but I think Alabama's a much better team than Wisconsin and the way Ohio State's been playing.
You're saying even if Wisconsin beats Ohio State, who has some good wins this year, that one bad loss to Iowa, obviously, but even if Wisconsin beats everyone on their schedule plus Ohio State, they should not go.
I'm not saying they should not go. I'm saying the committee is going to say that they should go. I'm saying they're not one of the 4 best teams. And if you're telling me that it's the 4 best teams, Max, then it can't be who's most deserving, undefeated. It has to be the 4 best teams. And you and me both know if right here in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, if Alabama played Wisconsin, they would probably beat the brakes off of them. And so when you say the 4 best teams, then don't say undefeated, don't say deserving, don't say strength of schedule, don't say strength of record, because it's not the 4 best. All right, if you want to say 4 best.
But that's sports, Tim. Isn't it like, yes, the 4 best teams as determined on the field, but we all know sometimes the winner of the football game is actually not the best team. If Wisconsin doesn't have any losses and Alabama does, how do you justify it?
So, Max, let's not say 4 best. Let's say the 4 most deserving, or let's say the 4 hottest, or the 4 with the best record. Right. But don't tell me 4 best. That's where I get a problem is they say 4 best, but Wisconsin's in there. And they're just not. You look at film, and they're not one of the 4 best teams.
Agreed.
Well, how do you know, Tim, playing devil's advocate here, because we know how I like to roll with the tide, but how do you know that Alabama isn't better or is better rather than Wisconsin when Wisconsin is undefeated and you see the way Alabama just finished performing against Auburn? Is it a product of Auburn being so great where it's an acceptable loss or questionable competition by Wisconsin? Which way are you going?
Well, I think all of it is an educated guess on watching these players and evaluating them. And you look at Alabama, all these first-round draft picks and the way that they dominated the entire year. And then you look at Wisconsin, and yes, they have a sound team. They have a tough team. They have a smart team. They're able to run the ball, decent play action. But you look at how they compare if the two are to match up, and I don't think that they would match up. I think that Alabama's speed and their athleticism would simply run around, and Wisconsin would not be able to physically dominate them. So when I compare the two teams on how they would play in a game, I would evaluate Alabama as being able to dominate that football game.